advisor to Governor Hogan. I'm also a former member of the Baltimore City Council and the state legislature representing the very heart of this area of Old West Baltimore. So welcome to my old district, welcome to my family's home, and welcome to all of you here at Shake and Bake Family Fun Center, the new improved Shake and Bake Family Fun Center. So thank you for being here. You are on the Avenue. To my friends in the administration, this is the Avenue. Those in West Baltimore know what the Avenue is all about. The history of this Avenue, this was the heart of Black Baltimore. Believe it or not, in 1920, 90% of the black population in the city lived in this neighborhood, 90%. On this corridor were businesses, thriving businesses. Theaters like the Royal Theater, where Cab Calloway, Billie Holiday, other luminaries like U.B. Blake, Ray Charles would play right up the block here at Lafayette and Pennsylvania Avenue at the Royal Theater. This is a thriving community. Obviously, it has work to do to get back to where it needs to be, but we're confident that it will happen. There are a lot of folks in this room that have been working for many years to make sure that this area comes back to its historic pride that it should be. So, here at Shake and Bake, opened up in the 1980s by former football great Glenn Dowdy, wide receiver of the Baltimore Colts, whose nickname was Shake and Bake. Believe it or not, I was here for the opening in 1982, I believe, and I actually roller skated here to the tunes of Earth, Wind, and Fire and Shaka Khan, believe it or not. So it's a great place to be. I also want to thank Rec and Parks. For all of the hard work they did to pull this event with all the logistics. Rashawn Brave, Gary Jackson, and Courtney Weinstock, if you're here, just wave so you can be acknowledged. Thank you so much on behalf of the Hogan administration. I also want to thank Commissioner Tuggle, who is here, the Baltimore City Police Commissioner, who's made sure that his officers are out here patrolling an area, getting the place cleaned up for us, making sure we're all safe. And so, Commissioner Tuggle, thank you very much for your presence here. And I also want to thank Deputy Mayor Pete Hammond. He's the Deputy Mayor of Operations, who's here, representing Mayor Pugh, who is out of town, could not be here, wanted to be here, but is out of town. So we're represented by former delegate Pete Hammond, who's now Deputy Mayor for Operations for the City of Baltimore. This morning we will begin with the presentation of the colors, followed by the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. I did want to note that thanks to the hard work of Governor Hogan on creating and maintaining funding for the Boost scholarships, Cardinal Sheenan School, which is here you're going to hear from, received 77 scholarships, and Baltimore City had a total of 672 scholarships through the Boost program that valued over $1.7 million. And now please welcome the famous and Baltimore's own singing sensation, the Cardinal Sheenan School Choir. And I'd also like to welcome Baltimore City Scouts Pack 218 and Pack 970, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will they come forward? And now I'd like to ask all to please rise for the presentation of colors by the Baltimore City Police Department Honor Guard. please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, that the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we've watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the If I rise high like the waves, if you rise unafraid, we all will rise. Higher than our social and racial differences, higher than economic level, higher than all of the adversities in the world. And together, we will move mountains. And if they don't hear our message, we'll just do it over and over and over 1,000 times again for you. Broken down inside, live a life on a merry-go-round. You can find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we'll walk it out and move mountains. We'll walk it out and move mountains.
you'd come to the Avenue without having a little church and some music, did you? On behalf of the entire Hogan administration, thank you all for joining us here today in Baltimore City. We have a great day ahead of us and a very packed agenda for you all. Our cabinet secretaries will be out in the lobby following the meeting, so we ask that you hold any questions until then. The Green Sisters, that means you, okay? I'll see you in the back. I'll let you guys know in a bit. At this time, I would ask that all cabinet secretaries and directors of the governor's coordinating offices to please stand up to be acknowledged. Thank you. I would ask that any elected officials, local elected officials, if you all are here, would you please stand and be recognized? Now, I referenced the Green Sisters. The Green Sisters are here in the audience. They're community leaders here in the Upton neighborhood. They have lots of questions. Sometimes they give me a hard time, even though I'm no longer in office. But I would like for them to stand to be recognized, who are here also. And I know I'll be in big trouble. I have my youngest sister who lives in the neighborhood here. Miss Kathleen Mitchell is here, if she can stand to be recognized. Ms. Stokes, who's lived in this neighborhood since 1950, is here and remembers what the Avenue was like. Would you please stand? And she will not entertain any questions out in the lobby, but my mother, Nanette Mitchell, is here. Would you please stand? She'll be leaving out of the back door as soon as this meeting's over. Thank you for all of your hard work with us and all that you do on behalf of the great city. And thank you in advance for all the wonderful things you will be tweeting about at the Hogan administration on the celebration of Flag Day. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and privilege to introduce my friend, my boss, fellow Pennsylvania Avenue skylight snowball connoisseur, and the governor of our great state of Maryland, Governor Larry Hogan.
Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Well, it's great to be here in Baltimore this morning, the birthplace of the Star-Spangled Banner for Flag Day. Thank you all so much for joining us. Let's give thanks to the Baltimore City Police Honor Guard, the Scouts from Pack 218 and Pack 970 for the national anthem. Cardinal Sheehan School Choir. Weren't they unbelievable? Wow. Wow. I mean, they put me in a hard spot. I'm not sure how you follow anything like that choir. They were unbelievable. I want to thank Rashawn Brave and Gary Jackson and everyone here at the Shake and Bake Family Fun Center for hosting us this morning. I was on the Larry Young show on the way down here, and Senator Young told me he don't think any governor has ever held a cabinet meeting here at the Shake and Bake ever in the history of the state of Maryland. The bake is back, right? The bake is back. The Maryland Energy Administration, by the way, recently gave a grant which benefits the Shake and Bake. In August, they're going to put in new energy-efficient upgrades that will begin here, and the anticipated savings are going to allow Baltimore City Recs and Parks to cut the admission fee here by 80%, from $5 to $1. I want to thank Mayor Pugh, who unfortunately was out of town and could not join with us. But I want to thank her and her entire team for their continued partnership as we continue to work together to revitalize the city of Baltimore. And I want to thank our community leaders who have joined us here this morning, and every one of you here for being here. Just thank you so much. We're excited to have our entire cabinet, our entire team right here on the Avenue in West Baltimore. How about that? Ever seen so many government officials in one place? We're literally bringing the entire leadership of state government right here to historic Pennsylvania Avenue, directly here to you in Baltimore City. And I can tell you that we have a really great team of dedicated public servants that work hard every single day for all the people of Maryland. But I can tell you that they've been providing as much assistance as possible to the city of Baltimore over the past 4 years. And I want to thank all of them for their hard work, but I especially want to thank my senior advisor and legislative officer and our liaison to the city from right here in the neighborhood, former Baltimore City Council member and delegate Kiefer Mitchell. He's doing an unbelievable job as our liaison to the city. Now, our entire team is looking forward to a very full and productive day here in the city. We have 86 different events and meetings all over the city from one corner to the other. And I think it's going to be a very productive and great day for Baltimore City. I don't think this has ever happened before with any other previous administration, but I can tell you we're going to get some things done just today. And then we're all here to answer all your questions and assist you with any problems you may have. After the meeting, we'll be out in the lobby to talk about anything we can help you with. Back in April of 2015, just 89 days after I had become governor, the whole world watched as the worst violence in 47 years sought to tear apart the very fabric of this great city. The city was overwhelmed, and we said we were going to back them up. I declared a state of emergency. We moved our entire operations from Annapolis to the city. And while the fires were still burning, that first night I was here with our whole team. As the sun was rising, I was here on Pennsylvania Avenue at North and Penn, hugging neighbors as they swept up the debris from their small businesses and their homes. And then I went to Sandtown, Winchester, and walked the neighborhoods. And the Lieutenant Governor was there too. Lieutenant Governors everywhere. Kiefer was there too, and a whole bunch of our team. In fact, we continue to walk the streets of Baltimore City, neighborhoods all over the place, all across the city, every single day that followed for the next solid week. And we worked hard with community leaders and faith-based leaders, and we brought the community together, and we restored peace. And we have continued to work together to improve our communities in this city ever since that time. I've had the opportunity to be in every single corner of the city, from Sandtown, Winchester to Fells Point. I've met countless people from all walks of life who believe the same way I do, that Baltimore City's future can be better than its past. And they're the ones that I think about every day with each and every decision that I make. The people all across Baltimore City, from Lexington Market to North Avenue to Canton. You're the reason we're fighting for change here in the city. And whether it's our massive citywide blight removal program called Project Core, or our innovative education programs like the Boost Scholarships, like P-TECH, or the tough new anti-violent crime legislation that we enacted this year to help get dangerous repeat violent offenders off the streets and to stop the shootings in the neighborhoods. For 4 years, we've been working hard to find common sense, bipartisan solutions to the serious problems that the city has been struggling with. Since I became governor, we have invested $5.5 billion with a B in local aid to Baltimore City. And that is by far the most ever invested by any governor in the history of the state, including a couple of them that were former city mayors in Baltimore City. We've invested $3.9 billion for transportation in the city. I believe that a strong Maryland absolutely depends on a strong Baltimore City, which is why today I'm going to announce some very exciting news on a long-awaited and potentially transformative project that we have been committed to and pushing for since day one of our administration. After more than 15 years of inaction and failure, I am pleased to announce that we are finally able to move forward on the redevelopment of State Center. As soon as I became governor in January of 2015, I made this project, the redevelopment of State Center, a top priority. Unfortunately, the previous administration had pushed a failed deal that was economically infeasible and legally improper, and which was unanimously rejected by the Board of Public Works. We filed suit against the failed developers, trying to extricate the state from this failed agreement. And our repeated efforts to get this project off the ground were delayed in the court system over and over again by a group of developers, quite frankly, that were motivated by greed and who sought to force the state to pay outrageous sums for leases that were never executed, which were illegal, and which were unanimously rejected by the Board of Public Works. Today, I'm announcing that we made a final settlement offer to remove this obstacle, and we've also made the decision to expedite the process so that we, as soon as that legal obstacle is out of the way, the next day we will be ready to move forward with the RFI and RFP process for the redevelopment of State Center. I'm also pleased this morning to announce some other new investments in the city, including $7 million more for crime-fighting technology upgrades and community violence reduction programs, $3 million more for major repairs to the Hanover Street Bridge, finally, and another $4 million for the University of Maryland, Baltimore Community Engagement Center on Poppleton Street. Education has been our top priority from the beginning of our administration, and we have invested $3.8 billion for K through 12 schools in Baltimore City. $3.8 billion. No governor has ever invested more, and it's 3.5 times more than the state average. And we put in $47 million more than the legislature called for. We provided another $15 million recently for the emergency assistance for heating and air conditioning problems at the city schools. And we have also proposed the creation of a lockbox to ensure that every single penny of those casino revenues will go directly into the classrooms. And this is going to mean another $4.4 billion for our local schools. But we're also fighting for more accountability in our local school systems by raising academic standards and rooting out corruption and mismanagement, because I believe very strongly that every single child in Maryland deserves access to a world-class education, regardless of what neighborhood they happen to grow up in. We're also pushing improvements to make our schools safer and to add school resource officers and mental health counselors, because no mom or dad should ever have to worry when they send their kids off to school in the morning whether their son or daughter is going to come home safely. We just received approval for 42 new federal opportunity zones right here in the city, which will attract further investment and energize development. And we've already removed more than 1,400 blighted and dangerous properties. And we're on schedule to demolish more than 4,000 blighted properties by the end of next year. During the campaign for governor in 2014, the lieutenant governor and I were walking some of the neighborhoods. We were in Walbrook Junction. We were walking up and down North Avenue, and over again, people said to us, "Can't you do something about these empty row houses that are dangerous, where they're dealing drugs, they're unsafe? They've been here for 30 years and nobody ever did anything." Well, we decided to do something about it, and we're going to keep fighting until we get most of these properties either redeveloped, recleaned up, or removed and turned into parks and green spaces for the people of the city. But just removing the blighted properties wasn't enough. So we also used state dollars to leverage nearly $570 million in revitalization investments to transform some of the city's neighborhoods that need it the most. Project CORE is a perfect example of how the state and the city can partner with community organizations and with the private sector to make a real difference in the lives of the people of Baltimore. So today, I'm also announcing that my administration is going to extend and continue to invest in this Project CORE program for an additional 4 more years. And last year, we passed the most comprehensive criminal justice reform act in a generation in Maryland. We've lowered our prison population at a rate faster than any other state in the nation. But when it comes to these repeat violent offenders who are shooting people on the streets of Baltimore, we want to take them out of the neighborhoods. So to get tough on those repeat violent offenders, we conducted a joint operation involving nearly 500 joint operation with federal, state, and local law enforcement officers, which resulted in more than 500 arrests and the removal of 259 of Baltimore City's worst, most repeat violent criminals from the streets. This important work is ongoing, and the Maryland State Police and 4 other state police agencies, along with the State Office of Parole and Probation, has conducted 124,191 premises and parole checks. We issued 15,013 citations and made 840 arrests and served 819 warrants in the city. We created the Maryland Criminal Intelligence Network to ensure that local jurisdictions are seamlessly sharing data with federal, state, and local law enforcement officers. And this afternoon, I'll be meeting with the new U.S. Attorney in Baltimore City, along with other federal, state, and local officials. And I'm pleased to announce that we will be participating in a new joint task force with federal, state, and local partners to target repeat violent criminals and gangs. I'm also announcing today that we're investing an additional $5 million for violence intervention programs, including the Baltimore City Safe Streets Initiative, as well as an additional $2 million to improve the Baltimore City Police Department's technology infrastructure. And we're expanding the scope of the Maryland Criminal Intelligence Network to now include Baltimore City. Over the past 4 years, our administration has invested more time, more money, and more effort in Baltimore City than in any other jurisdiction in the entire state of Maryland. Baltimore City is the heart and soul of this great state, and we intend to continue doing everything we possibly can to help this city be all that it can be, and to ensure that Baltimore City's future is even better than its past. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor Hogan. As a local resident, I've seen firsthand this administration's positive efforts to change Baltimore City and the state of Maryland for the better. particularly when it comes to education. Under the governor's leadership, we have brought bold, innovative education programs to the city. We partnered with Bard College to announce Bard High School Early College Baltimore. This partnership allows Baltimore City High School students the opportunity to earn 60 college credits and an associate's degree tuition-free. I'm happy to report that the governor has provided $300,000 per year in funding for this over the past 3 years, and also one of the proudest administration accomplishments, at least for me personally, was having the privilege to work on implementing 2 P-TECH schools in the city of Baltimore that are providing students here with a chance to receive a high school diploma, an associate's degree in a STEM field at no additional cost within 6 years, and also to be first in line for a job in the STEM field. Because of the governor's leadership on P-TECH, other states are following his lead. This year, the governor signed another important piece of legislation for Baltimore City, our Access Initiative, a $5 million investment to inspire Maryland students, especially females and minorities, to pursue careers in computer science. I'm able to see firsthand the impact of this important initiative is making in our city. Thanks to Access, Reverend Al Hathaway, pastor of Union Baptist Church, who is with us today, was able to create a Girls Who Code Club, providing girls a safe and supportive environment of peers and role models, and to learn to see for themselves as computer scientists. Here in Baltimore City, the Hogan-Rutherford administration truly is advocating for the innovative solutions to produce young people who have both the skills and opportunities they need to be successful. Moving on, as one of his first acts in office, Governor Hogan tasked the Lieutenant Governor with leading the Heroin and Opioid Emergency Task Force. The task force advised and assisted the governor in establishing a coordinated statewide and multi-jurisdictional effort to prevent, treat, and significantly reduce heroin and opioid abuse in the state. At this time, the Lieutenant Governor will brief you on the Hogan administration's ongoing efforts to combat the heroin crisis. It is now my privilege to introduce my other friend in the Hogan-Rutherford administration, Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you. Good morning. Good job, Kiefer. You know, it's always great to be here in Baltimore. I think it's been almost every day this week I've been here in the city, and so very much enjoying it. I don't know if City Council President Jack Young had a chance to get here, but I did want to give him a shout out for sending one of his aides to meet me on Monday morning over on Rosedale near North Avenue, where the same community that the governor and I had gone to a couple of years ago and walked through to try to address a particular troublesome house that's been there that's been vacant. So I wanted to thank Jack publicly for helping us out in that and helping those constituents in that. Also on Monday I had an opportunity, we were talking about and looking at and talking about the future of Baltimore, but I wanted to talk about a legend that I had an opportunity to see also on Monday, the great Lenny Clay, for some of you who might know Lenny over in Poppleton, who is a barber who cut Earl Monroe's hair and others, you know, greats that have been around the city. But I'm going to get back to what I was to talk about today and not necessarily talk about the pleasure of meeting Lenny. You know, just give you an update on some of the efforts of the state with regard to combating the heroin and opioid issue. As you may know, back in March, the governor declared a state of emergency in response to this crisis. We've committed over $600 million, I should say nearly $600 million in a multi-pronged approach to addressing this program through prevention, treatment, recovery, as well as enforcement. And just this week, we announced another $40 million in new funding to fight this epidemic. And while we've been successful in reducing the the fatalities with heroin and opioids, fentanyl is spreading, and that is what's killing people and flooding our streets currently. And so that's why it's extremely important to have partnerships with the local communities right here on the ground, with the neighborhoods, with the schools, the communities, to heighten our coordination amongst these agencies and organizations to have a larger impact. You know, here in Baltimore, which has had a heroin problem for many years, since I was a boy, and you can tell by the lack of hair and red eyes, that was a long time ago. You know, we've been providing additional funding for the opioid intervention teams and expanding access to medications for treatment and other support service for those who are suffering from substance use disorder. And we're supporting the development of levels of care for city hospitals and providing funds to support outreach and other efforts to respond to spikes in overdoses. And in the FY 2019 budget, we provided $2 million more to support the implementation of the 24-hour crisis stabilization center here in the city. And that is an example of the collaboration between the state and the local levels, working with Behavioral Health Systems Baltimore, the Baltimore City Health Department, as well as others, to make sure that these services are available immediately upon the need. And it's also the ability to link individuals who are suffering with treatment and other community-based services. Since opening in April, the Stabilization Center has served 44 people, 70% of whom have been connected with ongoing follow-up care. And I just want to share one example of what had happened a couple of weeks ago. The Baltimore City EMS was stopped to get fuel on Falls Way when they spotted an individual stumbling through the gas station parking lot. And they saw him fall. And fortunately, he was not injured in that fall, but when they approached him to ask him if he needed any assistance, you know, he had stated that he was homeless and he was going to a shelter but was planning to sleep outside. So the medics, you know, sensing that he had some substance abuse issues, asked him if he wanted to go to the stabilization center. And he agreed to go, and they transported him to the center where he received a meal, and he met with a case manager who was able to get him into a detox program. And so those are the kinds of things that we're hoping to see spread not only in the city but throughout the state, to be able to help people that are in need and are ready for that type of transition process to get out of that disease, that cycle of disease that they have. So this is a first-of-a-kind program in Maryland, and this is truly helping connecting those people who are in need with the treatment and resources that can help them and get them through the recovery process and restart their lives. So we're hopeful this effort will serve as a model for the rest of the state and that we can replicate it in other parts of Maryland. But ultimately, the bottom line with all of these efforts is about saving lives. And so I'm hopeful and thankful for the collaboration that we've had with the city and with other organizations, and particularly the community organizations, in taking a holistic approach to address this problem. So thank you again for being here. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I would now like to turn it over to Steve McAdams, Executive Director of the Governor's Office of Community Initiatives. He'll be presenting governor's citations to members of the community who exemplify a commitment to service and continue to make our city and the entire state of Maryland proud. Steve?
Thank you, Kiefer. Good morning, everyone. As Kiefer said, my name is Steve McAdams, and I am honored to be here today to present governor's citations to exemplary members of the community. When your name is called, please come forward and join the governor and lieutenant governor so that we can present your citation to you. Our first recipient is Jeffrey Griffin and Kim Gregory. Jeff is Executive Director of the Franciscan Center, and Kim is the Director of Food Services and has been at the center for over 12 years. Both of these individuals have been instrumental in providing 112,000 meals to needy families last year, and this year they are on track to serve 130,000 meals. Jeff, Kim, thank you. Jeff and Kim, thank you for the service to the community. Thank you. Our second recipient is Reverend Willie Ray. Reverend Willie Way founded Saving LA Youth Incorporated and Stop the Violence Coalition. He has been a staunch advocate for the youth of Baltimore for over 30 years. Reverend Ray has dedicated his life to reach out to the youth and to make Baltimore a safer, nonviolent place. Reverend Ray, thank you for your leadership of the community.
I want to thank Kiefer Mitchell for making me aware of this. I've been following the governor for years, lieutenant governor. I'm not a bandwagon person. I'm a pioneer. And on that note, Mr. Governor, I was a former coordinator for Elijah Cummings and also the President Barack Obama. I'm personally officially endorsing you as my governor.
I just want to say we did not know anything about that. We were not trying to make a political rally out of our but thank you so much, Reverend.
Our third recipient is Peggy Vick. Peggy is the Director of Social Services for the Salvation Army in Baltimore. Peggy became a Salvation Army minister in her early 20s and has been with the Salvation Army for almost 40 years in many different capacities. Thank you, Peggy, for your tireless efforts, compassion, and dedication to the people of Baltimore. Adam Rosenberg. Adam serves as Executive Director for the Baltimore Child Abuse Center. Baltimore Child Abuse Center is one of the oldest and most respected children advocacy centers in the United States, which coordinates the investigation, prosecution, treatment, and prevention of all reported cases of child sex abuse in Baltimore City. Thank you for your dedication, Adam. Baltimore Community Tool Bank. The Baltimore Community Tool Bank provides an important resource of tools and equipment for the local Pigtown and Southwest Baltimore community, and plays a vital role in helping to clean and beautify local neighborhoods, playgrounds, and schoolyards. Thank you for creating a cleaner, safer Maryland for all citizens. Thank you, everyone, and congratulations, and I'd like to welcome Kiefer back.
Thank you, Steve. I would now like to welcome Secretary Ken Holt of the Department of Housing and Community Development to provide an update on Project CORE. Secretary Holt.
Thank you, Keith. Good morning. Good morning. Well, Governor, your cabinet meetings are generally inspirational, but I have to tell you, this is the first one where I have goosebumps at the start of this meeting. And our thanks to Cardinal Sheehan and the school choir. That was just tremendous. Very inspirational. Good morning. My name is Ken Holt. I'm Secretary of the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, and I appreciate the opportunity to discuss the achievements of Governor Hogan and Lieutenant Governor Rutherford in revitalizing Baltimore City through Project CORE. Project CORE, creating opportunities for renewal and enterprise, is a partnership between the state of Maryland, Baltimore City, and the private sector to remove blight through demolition, deconstruction, and stabilization of vacant properties. The state is providing $75 million over a 4-year period to remove blight. That is being supported by an additional $18.5 million from the city of Baltimore. The map on the screen here shows in red the blight that is being removed through demolition by the Maryland Stadium Authority. And we have here Gary Mangum, a member of the board of the Stadium Authority, and Mike Friends, the executive director, and Gary McGuigan. I want to thank the Stadium Authority for such a great job that you've done. As the governor pointed out, there will be more than 1,400 blighted units removed. That was as of the first of this year. And one of the most essential aspects of Project CORE is working with communities and identifying their particular needs. So in yellow, you can see the local projects that are separate and apart from the Maryland Stadium Authority projects that have provided demolition throughout the city. The state has supported those private sector initiatives with over $33 million. There have been 65 projects since inception of the program that have received financial support. We expect 1,100 units of blight to be removed through this program, and we believe that by the end of our process, which will be the end of next year, there will be over 4,000 units of blight removed through these combined efforts. Now, in blue are the Baltimore crime hotspots that the governor had referred to. Earlier this year, he announced a plan to aggressively remove blighted units in these hotspot areas. We are now proceeding with about 100 demolitions in the hotspot zones on a monthly basis. The green hash marks show opportunity zones, and as Governor Hogan had mentioned, he nominated 149 zones across the state of Maryland. There are 42 located in Baltimore City, and we strongly believe that this will complement our program and attract significant private sector investment into the city. And also marked, showing flags, are the location of the 21st century schools. There are multiple vacant and blighted schools in the city. They will be demolished for improved educational opportunities to support the 21st Century Excellence in Schools initiative. Now, all of these efforts are going to create new business opportunities, community centers, affordable housing, and rehabilitation of historic buildings. Last fall, the department conducted an assessment of potential Project CORE social outcomes, and we anticipate that in the area of housing, owner-occupied units will increase significantly across the city. Vacants will decline dramatically, in excess of 20%. Home values will increase in the focus areas. In health, we expect that the number of children with blood lead levels of greater than 10 micrograms per deciliter will decline. In education, elementary school children meeting expectations in standard PARCC tests will increase. And the incidence of violent crimes will decline, the poverty rate will decline, the unemployment rate will decline, and labor participation will grow across the city. I'd like to give you two examples of Project CORE, and these posters show them. The governor had mentioned Walbrook Mill. It's on the west side of town, a 5-acre abandoned lumber yard near Coppin State University. The governor had participated in knocking down the blighted warehouse as part of a celebration of our 1,000th demolition of blight. When fully completed, Walbrook Mill will include 140 apartments and townhouse units, mixed, affordable, as well as market-based units, 32,000 square feet of warehouse and industrial space, and 9,000 square feet of retail and commercial space, all fronting on North Avenue and all contributing significantly to the ongoing revitalization of the North Avenue corridor. Then on the east side, the Hone building is an example of preserving and repurposing a very important historic site. Located along East Biddle Street, the Hone lithograph building housed the oldest continuously operated lithographer in the United States and employed most of the residents in the Collington Square neighborhood. This building has been vacant for over 35 years. It is a magnificent space, however, with amazing architecture and wonderful historic character. A partnership between Strong City Baltimore, Cross Street Partners, and City Life Builders is going to transform it into an 85,000 square foot office space to support nonprofits, retail and commercial space, an adult literacy center, as well as a workforce incubator. Now, Project CORE works in concert with many other state programs to support small businesses through capital lending and facade improvements, and also to clean and green neighborhoods through our Keep Maryland Beautiful program. And outside, as you came in, I hope you noticed that there are 14 all-terrain vehicle litter vacuum equipment that are ready to begin cleaning up the city streets. And at the end, I invite you to go out and sort of give them a rousing send-off. I think the governor will be very pleased to see that. CORE is Governor Hogan's vision to bring partners, stakeholders, and residents together to address the issue of blight that has plagued Baltimore City for generations. And these partners include Mayor Pugh, City Council President Jack Young, our Housing Commissioner Michael Braverman, the new head of the Housing Department Janet Abrams, the City Solicitor Andre Davis, and all of their team. They've been tremendous partners, and I want to give a special shout out to my department and the staff there, because without you, none of this is possible. So we are deeply, Governor Hogan and I, grateful for this cooperation, because simply together, I think through CORE, we are renewing Baltimore City and assuring its place as the crown jewel of the state of Maryland. Thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you, Secretary Holt. Before we move on, I just noticed that we've been joined by President of the City Council, Jack Young, who's here. I'm now pleased to welcome Dr. Karen Salmon, State Superintendent of the Maryland Schools. She'll be conducting a panel of two local principals, Tammy Mays of Dunbar High School and Shayanta Somerville of Carver Vocational Technical High School in West Baltimore, to talk about P-TECH schools.
Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be here, and I want to thank the governor for the opportunity to highlight one of his key initiatives in education in Maryland, and that was bringing P-TECH to Maryland. As you know, Kiefer talked about this earlier, P-TECH are innovative early college programs that create clear pathways for high school to college and careers for young people from all academic backgrounds. In 6 years or less, students graduate with a high school diploma and a no-cost associate's degree. At least 50% of the available space must be open to students who meet the free and reduced price meal income criteria. Maryland has 7 P-TECH schools in 5 local school systems, implementing 8 unique pathway programs aligned to in-demand associate's degrees. The table that you see highlights each school, its post-secondary partner, the industry partners, the aligned associate's degrees, and projected enrollment for the 2018-19 school year. I am very happy today to have with me Ms. Somerville, who is principal of Carver Vocational Technical High School, and Ms. Mays, principal of Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School. Would they please come forward?
We're waiting for our coordinators to come up. We got to go back to school. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ms. Somerville, principal at Carver. We are located about a mile away from here, so I wanted to take about 15 seconds to just thank Governor Hogan for the opportunity to have P-TECH at my school. This is my 4th year at Carver, and he's visited, I think, 2 or 3 times. And after the second visit, people ask me, well, how is the governor? Not people at school, but my friends. And I'm like, he's just down to earth and very charming. So I've never been big on politics, but I'm big on people. So I just want to thank you for just being a decent human being. I saw on the news 2 days ago that his approval rating was 90%, and just seeing what he's done in West Baltimore, I know why it's 90%. So thank you, and continue to do great things here. Now on to P-TECH. So like I said, this is my 4th year at Carver. Coming up, we'll have our 3rd cohort of P-TECH students. Each year we enroll 50 9th graders. Our partner is IBM, and right now we have our upcoming juniors for this school year have accumulated how many credits? 21. So the juniors have accumulated 21 credits. The program is designed for students to complete in 4 to 6 years, and at the end of the program, they'll have their high school diploma and an associate's degree from Baltimore City Community College in computer information systems or cybersecurity, and they will be first in line for a job at IBM. While they're in high school, IBM has provided one-on-one mentors who work for IBM for our students to help get them through the process. Did I miss anything? I think that's all we had. I think we only had like 2 minutes, and I took a long time thanking the governor, so thank you all. We have to leave because we have an event at school. We had staff superlatives today, and I was nominated for Best Baker. So I was up until 4:30 this morning baking cupcakes for the staff just in case I won. Oh, and this is Miss Bush. This is the P-TECH coordinator at my at Carver at P-TECH. So this is the face of P-TECH with me. She does all the work. Miss Bush.
Good morning, yes. And if you know of any rising 9th graders who may be interested in technology, please have them contact Carver to join P-TECH. We have a few spots available, so we are still looking for young people.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tammy Mays, and I'm the principal of the Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School. We are also grateful to have P-TECH at our school. Our partners are Hopkins, Kaiser Permanente, and the University of Maryland. We focus on healthcare. Our students come prepared and ready to enter the job force once they are done at Dunbar. We also have a wonderful coordinator, Mr. Chung Kui, who, as Principal Somerville mentioned, our coordinators really put in the hard work with our students. So I'm going to actually let him say a couple words about the great work that he's doing.
Thank you. Our students pursue degrees in nursing, respiratory care therapist, or physical therapy assistant. As Principal Somerville stated, our rising juniors have accumulated 21 college credits. We are enrolling them currently for summer session at BCCC. At the end of the summer, we anticipate them to be at the halfway point with 30 college credits going into their junior year. So our first cohort is probably on a 4 to 5 year graduation track, and you can look forward to the future of a good cohort of future healthcare professionals in the state of Maryland. Thank you, Governor Hogan.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Secretary Steve Moyer of the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services. Secretary Moyer will be presenting governor citations to members of the public safety community who demonstrate a commitment to public safety and security and who go above and beyond the call of duty. Secretary Moyer.
Thank you. Before I begin, the Mitchell family and the Moyer family goes back for generations. They didn't just dance to Earth, Wind, and Fire. He and C4 thought they were Earth, Wind, and Fire. I've got the platform shoes and the fro pictures. I'll give it to the governor, and he can distribute that later. So, Mom, if you want to know another story, he used to take C4's Senate tags and put them on his car when C4 was in the Senate so he could get premier parking in Baltimore City. But well, thank you, Kiefer. I'm Steve Moyer. I'm thrilled to be able to present these citations to the men and women who have gone above and beyond the call of duty to protect others. When your name is called, please come to the front to be recognized. Operation 7 Centuries. Operation 7 Centuries, announced by Governor Hogan last December, targeted Baltimore's most violent fugitive and was a part of a sweeping plan to focus on violent crime, drug organizations, and gangs. The Maryland State Police, the Baltimore Police Department, the Baltimore County Sheriff's Office, along with the U.S. Marshals Criminal Intelligence Branch, and the Capital Area Regional Fugitive Task Force led a 2-month operation that resulted in 259 arrests in Baltimore from December 16th to February 10th. The success of this operation was due to the spirit of collaboration among all agencies and components involved in the tenacity and selfless dedication of the men and women who executed countless warrants and worked tirelessly during this operation. Congratulations. Officer Rob B. Chadwick and Officer Derek S. Layton. Please come forward. Officers Rob Chadwick and Derek Layton are assigned to the Maryland Capitol Police Baltimore Detachment. Previously, Officer Chadwick served Baltimore City Sheriff's Office for 16 years, and Officer Layton served Baltimore City Police for 26 years. Based on their training, experience, and desire to enforce the law, they serve as Baltimore Detachment Mid-Shift Patrol Officers, assisting with the Governor's initiative for state law enforcement in Baltimore City to help reduce crime. Thank you for your dedication. Melissa Hyatt. Not only Melissa Hyatt is a personal friend, but a professional colleague for many years. Hyatt is currently the Vice President for the Security for Johns Hopkins University and Johns Hopkins Medicine. Melissa Hyatt was a member of the Baltimore Police Department for over 20 years and retired at the rank of Colonel. In 2013, Hyatt was selected by the Baltimore Sun magazine as one of the 50 women to watch and by Baltimore magazine as one of its 40 under 40. She received the Mayor's Medallion for service in 2016 and the Woodrow Wilson Award for Distinguished Government Service from Johns Hopkins University in 2017. She also worked with Colonel Palazzi and his team during the Baltimore City riots. Thank you for your service. Thank you and congratulations and all of our deserving citation recipients. I'd like to turn it back to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Mom, you can leave now. Next, I'd like to introduce Shari Brooks, Executive Director of Power 52 Foundation, and Rob Wallace, co-founder of Power 52 Energy Solutions. They will be sharing with us the success of Power 52 in Baltimore City.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank Governor Hogan and his staff for inviting us out. It was a surprise, but I'm so excited to be here. My name is Shari Brooks. I am the Executive Director and co-founder of Power 52 Foundation. My other co-founder, Ray Lewis, many of you may have been expecting him, but he sends his regrets for not being here today. He started his youth his youth camp in Florida, so it's a big day for him in Florida. So this is co-founder Rob Wallace. They told me I had 5 minutes, so that really leaves me 30 seconds because Rob talks a lot. so I just want to give you a brief overview on what the foundation is doing. So Power 52 Foundation, we own and operate 2 private career schools. We're the first clean energy private career school in the state of Maryland, and we're approved by the Maryland Higher Education Commission. Our first school is located in the Under Armour House on Fayette, and we're partnered with Living Classrooms. They provide the wraparound services to our trainees. The second school is Power 52 Energy Institute, and we're located in Ellicott City. So we have an 11-week training program where we train individuals how to do solar PV installations. And so a lot of people say solar panels on the rooftop, but really we're teaching them how to develop mega solar farms. And so Rob will talk to you about some of the technical stuff that we're doing and that some of the things that our trainees are doing around Baltimore City.
Sure.
Okay.
How much time do I have left, Governor? 30 seconds. So I run Power 52 Energy Solutions, which is the construction and development side of the Power 52 model. So we train on one side, workforce development, job creation. We employ on-the-job training on the other side. So a couple of our key initiatives. One is resiliency centers. And a lot of folks say, what's a resiliency center? Well, it's a center where you can come in case of a natural disaster. So the Game Changer and MEA have provided money for us to build resiliency center hubs throughout Baltimore City, where the residents can come in case of natural disaster, where they can get water, they can get electricity, they can get health care. On those buildings, we have renewable solar generation on the roof. We have battery storage as integrated into the electrical infrastructure of the building, and then we have generators. So those centers can run 72 hours plus with no utility, with no BGE, right? And so that's one of the focus points for Power 52, providing renewable and clean energy access to communities that are typically underserved, right? So partnering with Living Classrooms, we have one at Powerhouse, where we're doing the ribbon cutting in about 2 weeks. We have a second at the UA House, where our classroom is, that is also in East Baltimore, that will also be a resiliency center. The second thing we focus on is renewable energy access through community solar. Folks ask, what's community solar? A lot of low-income communities cannot have access to renewable energy because of their credit and because of the capital required. But as most of you know, there's a 20 to 30% savings by purchasing clean and renewable energy. So we set up a community solar program, partnered with Baltimore Gas and Electric and Under Armour, where Under Armour is the anchor tenant for the system, and the 51% of the power will go to communities in Baltimore to reduce their energy spend by 40 to 50% per month. So those are the kind of programs that, beyond just the training, these are how we give our folks the on-the-job training. This is how we give them the hands-on experience. And so I thank MEA, I thank Mary Beth and Sam, who are here, for all their help that they provided for us. I thank the governor, because we came to him right after the riots and told him this idea. And right after we pitched it to him and Jeannie made sure that we had the funding to kick this program off. So I thank you for hearing us. I thank you for what you've done for this state, and I'm happy to be a member here. Thank you.
And one last thing, we are recruiting, Dre's looking at me crazy, we are recruiting for our upcoming cohort that begins September 5th. So if you know anyone in Baltimore City and in the state of Maryland who's interested, it's free to the public.
Yep.
Just have them contact, go to our website, power52.org, follow us on all social media platforms at Power52 Official, and contact us to sign them up.
That's good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that great presentation. Please, I invite Governor and Lieutenant Governor up to present both of you with the Governor's citation for all the amazing work you're doing at Power 52. Next, I'd like to introduce Secretary Kelly Schultz of the Department of Labor, Licensing and Regulation. She will discuss the city's new apprenticeship programs. Secretary Schultz.
Good morning. It's still morning. And I don't think I need to go on with my presentation, Governor, because we have a quality, good example of the EARN program sitting right here with Power 52. So they know what it's all about. So thank you for your partnership as well. But I want to really emphasize that workforce development overall in the state of Maryland is growing and expanding, but particularly here in Baltimore City. As you can see, the amount of funding that we have provided to Baltimore City over the last 3 years is almost $40 million. And that's funding that goes to our American Job Centers and into programs that we're going to talk briefly about today, which are the apprenticeship programs and EARN Maryland. I just want to say that with the apprenticeship program, I can, without a shadow of a doubt, tell you that Governor Hogan is the first governor in the state, and possibly the nation, to invest funding into the beginnings of apprenticeship programs through the American Innovation Fund. So, Governor, thank you for your leadership with that. The state of Maryland received over $2 million from the federal government in order to be able to look to see what we could do to expand apprenticeships. And with that, we have become a national model. We've increased our apprenticeships by over 20% over the last year. We've increased the number of employers that are looking at the investments, and we've increased the number of programs overall. But when we talk about apprenticeships, we're not talking about increasing 20% in the skilled trades. We're talking about increasing opportunities for young people and those looking for a separate career in different occupations outside of the skilled trades, to include cybersecurity, healthcare, hotel and lodging management, forestry, pharmacy with the CVS organization. And this bill, we passed a bill this year with the governor's leadership, the Fostering Employment Act, between the Maryland Department of Labor and Secretary Padilla from the Department of Human Services, to offer these same opportunities and to expand them for our foster youth in these communities. And I know how important that is for those of us that work diligently in Baltimore City. The EARN Maryland program has been doubled in size under Governor Hogan's leadership. For fiscal year 18, he doubled the contribution and the investment from $4 million to $8 million. What this does is it allows us to work with programs such as Power 52, the career and manufacturing programs, the Baltimore healthcare partnerships, to invest in those organizations that want to put people into a career-oriented position quickly with the competencies and skills that they need in order to be able to succeed. And when we talk about partnerships, it's very important for us to understand that the state demands partnerships from those that are coming to receive some funding for this. And because of those partnerships that we've created through the employers, through the training facilities, through the academic facilities, this program, EARN Maryland, has a return on investment of almost $19 for every dollar that's invested in the program. By comparison, the average national workforce training program has an ROI of about $3.50. We have traveled across the country, Governor, to talk about the program and talk about what we have been able to do in order to be able to put people to work. We have a 91% employment rate for those that are leaving our programs. And we know, they know, we hold you to that. 91% of people of any individual that goes through these training programs gets employed. Even a higher percentage, 95%, are retained for over 18 months with their place of employment. And as employers, we know how important that is in order to be able to have that value of a good employee. We have increased the number of employers to 950 employers within 59 earned programs. That's significant because without the partnership of the private industry, we can't find employment for those individuals. And so we very much appreciate the businesses for being a part of that. For FY19, I can proudly say that the governor's budget passed with similar funding and the promise to continue to invest in workforce development overall, particularly here in Baltimore City, where we know that economic growth cannot happen without training growth, without the ability to invest into what is our greatest asset, which is our workers and our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary Schultz. Finally, I'd like to introduce Greg Durwart, Managing Director of the Administration and Customer Experience at the Department of Commerce. He'll be presenting governor's citations to state employees who have demonstrated consistent and outstanding customer service to the citizens of Baltimore City.
Thank you, Kiefer. Good morning, everybody. My name is Greg Durwart, and I'm pleased to be able to present these citations to our team members, the hardworking employees of the great state of Maryland. Customer service, as you know, is extremely important to the Hogan-Rutherford administration. In June of 2016, the governor launched the Customer Service Initiative, a continuous program designed to foster improvements in continuous service across Maryland state agencies to change Maryland for the better. When your name is called, please come to the front to be recognized. We'll start with Shirley Kennedy, Bradley Thomas, and Edwin Nunez. Shirley, Bradley, and Edwin worked together as a team to coordinate the Federal Surplus Property Program at the Department of General Services. In the first quarter of 2018, DGS secured and delivered over $3.4 million in federal surplus property, including over 500,000 meal kits to needy Marylanders, public schools, nonprofit organizations, municipal agencies, federally certified disadvantaged businesses, and municipalities. Thank you for your hard work. Next up is Brenda Kelly Fry. Brenda has long been an advocate for the deaf and hard of hearing community. As the director of Maryland Relay, she has been at the forefront of providing services and creating a better Maryland for people who are deaf and hard of hearing. Her work with Maryland Relay has resulted in some groundbreaking services being provided by the state to Marylanders. These services not only improve life for Maryland, but pave the way for future improvements and act as a model for the rest of the country. Thank you, Brenda. Next is Cindy Kolner. Cindy is the Executive Director of the Office of Personnel Services and Benefits at the Department of Budget and Management. Cindy is an integral piece of the department, from her leadership on union negotiations to managing the Workday implementation. She is consistently exemplifying the governor's customer service promise. Thank you for all you do, Cindy. And last but not least, we have David Dawson. David Dawson is at the Department of Juvenile Services Community Case Manager in Baltimore City. He provides outstanding customer service and case management services to youth at the Baltimore City Juvenile Justice Center. David has gone above and beyond his normal work hours and job purview by assisting youths in need. He builds a good rapport with everyone he comes in contact with and is always willing to lend a helping hand. Thank you, David. Thank you to all our citation recipients for providing great customer service to the citizens of Maryland. I'd like to send it back to Kiefer. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg. We have one addition from the mayor of Sandtown. Mr. Donnie Glover of Be More News has a quick presentation here, and afterwards he'll be buying everyone a chicken box on the avenue. Mr. Glover.
We will be buying you jerk chicken from the 512. We have proceeded past the chicken boxes. We want to give it up for Kiefer. We thank him for not forgetting his community. Did you acknowledge your family? Okay, good deal. Just making sure he's on point. We had a ceremony last week at Ames Memorial, and the governor and the lieutenant governor were recognized in the realm of education by North Apple, which is a charter school in northeast Baltimore, and they are attempting to come to West Baltimore. So in a city where we have 13 schools where 0 students are proficient in math, we thank the governor for making education a priority and continuing to do so. And on that note, I have to acknowledge my daughter. She's a 4.0 Polytechnic. There you go. So, Mr. Governor, Lieutenant Governor, these are for you.
So this concludes our Baltimore City Cabinet meeting, but before we end and adjourn into the lobby, I would like to have the Chief of Staff, Mr. Matt Clark, to please rise and be acknowledged. Chief of Staff for the Governor. Thank you, Matt. And I'd also like to ask the entire Hogan staff who are here, please rise so you also can be acknowledged. So this concludes the Baltimore City Cabinet meeting. So let's crank up the Shaka Khan and let's get to roller skating. Let's go.